the overwhelming flash and brilliance of all the materials at that scale is something we can only imagine in our minds.
The sculptor who created it used a secret recipe to shape the ivory. But how did he achieve such realism? The originality of its design has inspired artists and sculptors to copy it throughout the centuries. The Pharos, a lighthouse, was the world's first skyscraper, standing over 400 feet high. How were the ancients able to build so high without modern equipment? The Pharos blasted its golden light 50 miles out to sea. What mechanism could cast a beam so far? For centuries, the secrets of its construction lay hidden beneath the sea.
So we are on the place here, on the underwater site.
Now, a marine archaeologist and his team are recovering its remains from the sea floor to discover how the Pharos once stood. The 7 ancient wonders created the building technologies of today.
It was the invention of the crane by the ancients that enabled them, and now us, to lift heavy weights high onto a building.
The ancients dared to build high. Until little more than a century ago, the Great Pyramid remained the tallest structure on Earth. Only with modern engineering have we mastered the technology to build higher, giving rise to our finest skyscrapers, and even buildings made out of glass.
One thing I learned to respect the Egyptians is the proportion of that pyramid. The Egyptians were right 4,000 of years ago.
The ancient builders took risks to attempt the impossible. Now, nothing is left to chance.
The computer has allowed us to test designs that before we couldn't have tested. And that's given us the confidence to actually proceed with these designs and be daring. A good example of an early use of the computer was Sydney Opera House, which was a very unusual structure.
Today's creations stretch to the heavens, but their foundations are embedded deep in the past. They rest upon the 7 wonders of the ancient world, which still challenge and amaze us after thousands of years. Their origins lie in the ancient Greek world. The 7 wonders of the ancient world stood within the Greek Empire, created by Alexander the Great. He conquered every country to the east, as far as India, and south to Egypt. Alexander transformed the Greek world. In the wake of his conquests, Greece entered a golden age of brilliance and sophistication.
The idea of 7 wonders is in many ways inconceivable without Alexander the Great, because his conquests in the East are what create the greater Greek world in which the wonders exist.
Alexandria, the city named after the Greek general, became the most splendid city in the world and the center of all knowledge. Here in the 3rd century BC, the very first list of the 7 ancient wonders was drawn up.
Alexandria was the great center of learning of its day, with a very famous library. And one of its greatest scholars attached to the library was Callimachus. Callimachus wrote a book of the wonders of the world, and it is possible that in that book he gives a list of 7 wonders that we have today.
Callimachus's book was destroyed. Now the earliest surviving list of 7 ancient wonders is found in a poem or epigram from the 2nd century BC. It was written by a Greek, Antipater of Sidon.
I have gazed on the walls of impregnable Babylon, along which chariots may race, and on the Zeus by the banks of the Alpheus. I have seen the hanging gardens and the Colossus of Helios, the great man-made mountains of the lofty pyramids, and the gigantic tomb of Mausolus. But when I saw the sacred house of Artemis, that towers to the clouds, the others were placed in the shade, for the sun himself has never looked upon its equal outside Olympus.
But why were there 7 wonders?
The symbolism of the word seven probably goes back to Babylonia, where we get the origin of the 7-day week, for example. And that seems to be related to the idea that there is a lunar month of 28 days, and that has 4 phases, each of 7 days. The Greeks thought there were 7 planets, including the moon and sun. So there was a natural basis to this idea of 7 being an important number.